Hey everyone, welcome to Pai's Kitchen. So today's recipe is one of the reasons why I wanted to start Pai's Kitchen to begin with. It is so good. I've been wanting to share it with you for a long time now. I am making pork back ribs with this amazing spice rub on them. They're fall off the bone tender. And as a bonus, I've got a great barbecue sauce recipe to go with it as well. I'm making these in the oven, which means they're super easy and I can make it basically any time of year. Let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna make is a spice rub. And let me tell you, this rub is great on ribs, but you can use it on all types of meat. I even put it in my chili. So I've got here some paprika, some ground cinnamon, some dried oregano, a little bit of salt, and this is optional. If you want to make the rub a little spicy, you can add some chilies. This is dry Thai chilies, but you can do cayenne pepper, some coriander seeds, some cumin seeds, and a lot of black pepper. And now all I have to do is dump everything into my coffee grinder here and blitz it up. Doesn't look like there's enough room for my paprika, but that's okay. Ta-da! Smells so good. Everything into a bowl here. Add my paprika in there. Give it a final mix with the mini whisk. And that spice rub is done. All right, it's time to rub the ribs. I've got pork back ribs here, but you can use spare ribs. But I prefer the flavor of the meat on the back ribs. They are a little pricier. And rub it. So you get a nice even coating on the ribs. And I get the bottom side as well. Perfect. All right. If you have time and you plan in advance, let this marinate for up to a day, and the flavor from the spices will penetrate and your ribs will taste even better. But if not, that's okay. You can bake this right away. They will spend 2.5 hours in the oven anyway, so they're going to taste good either way. All right, so I'm gonna go wash my hands and then I'll be back. So now I'm gonna add some liquid to the bottom of this pan. I've got here some beef broth, low sodium beef broth. And then what's gonna happen is we're gonna cover this, and this liquid is going to steam and essentially braise the ribs and make it super moist, tender, and juicy. You don't have to use beef broth. I've done this using a dark beer. I've done this using red wine as well, but I feel like you don't really taste the beer or the wine as much in the end, and so it's expensive, right? So with stock, it's fine. You can do mushroom stock, chicken stock. If you don't have enough liquid, at the end, it'll burn at the bottom and clean up will be a pain. So you want enough liquid in there so that when you pull it out, there's still a little bit of liquid left at the bottom. So now I'm gonna cover this with foil. If you've got a lid for whatever container you're using, use the lid, but I don't, so I'm gonna use foil. I want to make sure it's very, very tightly sealed. If there's not enough here to make a good seal, just go in with another piece. Now this is gonna go into a 325-degree Fahrenheit oven for 2.5 hours. That's it, you don't have to do anything with it during that time. However, if this is your first time making it, I would pull it out at maybe 1 hour and 45 minutes and check the level of liquid to make sure it hasn't dried up. And if it has, just add a little more liquid, that's all. Now we're gonna make barbecue sauce, and this is my own recipe that I came up with, so you're gonna notice a lot of Asian ingredients in here. Barbecue sauce though is really flexible. You can use store-bought sauce if you want for this, and there's gonna be a lot of ingredients, so you feel like I don't have that, can I use something else? Definitely feel free to substitute something that, you know, has a similar flavor profile. So, a little oil into the pot. And we'll start by sauteing some onions and garlic. Finely minced garlic. And just get that nice and soft. So now I'm gonna add my spices. I've got the same spices that we put on the ribs, some paprika, cumin, coriander, and cinnamon. And I'm gonna add them right now and give them a little time to just toast in the heat. Watch your heat though, because spices can burn pretty quickly. All right, and when the house is filled with spices smell, I'm gonna go in with some ketchup. And ketchup is sort of the main bulk of barbecue sauce, basically. Okay, and now I'm gonna add some soy sauce, and I am using Japanese soy sauce for this. You can use whatever kind of soy sauce you have. I just find that the Thai soy sauce is a little light for this application. I'm gonna turn my heat down a little bit. It's getting a little aggressive. And some sweet soy sauce. So this is the Indonesian ketchup manis, the ABC one. You can use other kinds of sweet soy sauce. If you don't have any, just a little molasses would work as well. Just look at that now. Some dark brown sugar. So barbecue sauce is sort of a sweet and sour, rich. Some tamarind. So I find that tamarind really goes so well in barbecue sauce. It adds a nice tartness, but a well-rounded tartness that's not too sharp like vinegar. But I still need a little vinegar. So I'm adding some rice vinegar, but you can do apple cider or anything that you have at home. And finally, the last ingredient, some Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire sauce. Did I get that right? Worcestershire sauce. There you go. Which is also made mostly of vinegar. And now I'm gonna let this simmer low heat for about 15-20 minutes just to allow all the ingredients to get to know each other a little bit. Keep an eye on it and make sure you stir every once in a while to make sure nothing's stuck to the bottom. And the time we've all been waiting for. Da, 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 da. Oh my God, look how good that looks. Oh, I can see that it's gonna be fall off the bone tender. However, if this is your first time, I would go ahead and use a fork and poke into it to see if it's super tender. If not, keep it going a little more. I mean, 2.5 hours really should do it, but you should always check. Aha, see, super tender. And as you can see, there's very little liquid left at the bottom now, and that's exactly how it should be. All of this floating on top is actually the fat rendered from the ribs. And be really gentle because it's fall off the bone tender, and if you're not careful, it will fall off the bone. Right onto a plate. Ooh la la, look at that. Now the liquid that's left in the pan, you can try to make a sauce with it if you'd like. I find sometimes it's a little, the flavor isn't as good as you might think it would be. But give it a taste. It's gonna depend on what kind of liquid you use and how far reduced it has been in the oven. You might be able to use it for something. And to finish this off, remember our barbecue sauce. Now this simmered for 15 minutes and please taste and adjust the seasoning at the end, especially if you made substitutions and you didn't use, some of the ingredients that I use. I still taste it every time just to make sure it is on point. Now, I couldn't find my mini brush, so I'm gonna use Adam's monster brush here instead to brush this onto my ribs. Oh yes, this looks so good. And be really generous. I find that it looks like a lot, but it never is. And I always serve extra barbecue sauce on the side. Now, obviously, you wouldn't just eat a rack of ribs on its own. Well, maybe you might, but you probably want some coleslaw or some cornbread or something on the side. But right now, I'm just gonna taste this as is, and I will show you how tender this is. Just look at that. Look how that just falls completely apart. No effort at all. I'm gonna cheat and put a little more barbecue sauce on this because I know I'm gonna want it. Melt in your mouth. That mix of spices really is a magical combination of flavors. It's one of those things where you know what spices went in there, but combined together it becomes something completely different. The meat is so tender and so flavorful, and that barbecue sauce, a little sweet, a little tart. This is a must-try recipe. I don't know how else to say this to you, but you have to try it. And it's really easy. It's literally rub, cover in the oven, and you forget about it for 2.5 hours, right? And it keeps really well in the fridge. You make it on the weekend, it'll last you a whole week, and it'll be even better the next day. So the recipe, as always, will be on pieskitchen.com. When you make it, send me a photo on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. And if you haven't subscribed to the show, please do, so you'll never miss an awesome recipe like this. And I will see you next time for your next delicious adventure.